Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something really important, often kind of misunderstood. Why empathy is a career skill, not just a soft skill.
Right. It gets labeled as nice to have, doesn't it?
Exactly. But it's so much more. It's not just about, being nice. It's a real, tangible, professional skill.
A competency. Yeah.
Yes. And in this deep dive, our mission is pretty clear. We want to unpack the practical ways you can actually develop and strengthen empathy.
Moving it from just a concept to something actionable.
Precisely. We'll show you how these skills build stronger relationships, create that crucial psychological safety we hear so much about, and ultimately how they boost your professional success in ways you might not even expect.
Okay, let's do it. Where do we start?
Well, interestingly, it all begins within cultivating empathy. It starts with you.
Self-awareness.
That's the foundation. Practicing daily self-awareness. Before you can truly connect with someone else, you've got to tune into your own emotions first.
Know thyself, right? Understand what you're feeling, why you're feeling it.
Yeah, it's like knowing your own operating system. If you don't get your own emotions, how can you manage your reactions or genuinely relate to what someone else is going through?
Absolutely. And that self-knowledge is critical for understanding the two main types of empathy. We talk about it like it's one thing, but it's more nuanced.
Okay, tell us about that.
Well, there's cognitive empathy and affective empathy. Cognitive is the intellectual part, understanding someone's perspective, putting yourself in their shoes mentally. You get their situation.
Like logically understanding their point of view.
Exactly. Then there's affective empathy. That's the emotional resonance. You feel with them. You don't just understand they're sad. You feel a pang of that sadness yourself, perhaps.
Ah, okay. So head versus heart. In a way.
Sort of, yeah. And the key thing is, for professional success, you really need both. They do different jobs, but they complement each other.
How so?
Well, think about a leader. High cognitive empathy means they understand why the team is stressed, maybe due to deadlines or workload.
Right.
But without effective empathy, they might not feel that stress deeply enough to be truly motivated to help alleviate it. It remains an intellectual problem.
I see. And the flip side.
Someone with only high affective empathy might get totally overwhelmed by everyone else's emotions. They feel everything, but maybe lack the cognitive framework to understand the root causes or figure out a practical solution.
So it's about balance, understanding and caring.
Precisely. You need the intellectual grasp and the emotional connection. That's the sweet spot.
Okay, that distinction is really helpful. So once you're more self-aware and grasp these two sides of empathy, what's next? Extending outwards.
Yeah, exactly. Now you start training yourself to pick up on the subtle emotional cues in other people.
The unspoken stuff.
The unspoken stuff. Because people don't always say what they feel, right? So you look for micro expressions.
Those really quick facial flashes.
Less than a second sometimes. They can betray an underlying feeling before someone catches it. Or changes in voice modulation, pitch, speed, tremor.
Yeah, you can often hear stress or excitement, even if the words are neutral.
Definitely. And body language, of course. Not just one signal, but clusters like crossed arms, and avoiding eye contact and fidgeting might mean discomfort.
So looking for patterns.
Yes, and language patterns too. The words people choose, or maybe the words they studiously avoid, are they generalizing? Catastrophizing, using lots of shoulds, paying attention to all that helps you read between the lines. You get a richer sense of what's really going on under the surface.
So, okay, we've got the self-awareness. We're learning to read the cues.
Yeah.
How do we actively use this? How do we make empathy an active tool, especially for relationships?
Right. This is where we move from passive understanding to active engagement. A key practice here is perspective taking in your day-to-day interactions.
Not just thinking about their view, but really trying to see it.
Yes, especially when there's conflict or disagreement. You have to consciously set aside your own assumptions, just for a moment, and genuinely try to understand their experience of the situation. Ask questions about their perspective.
That sounds challenging, especially in conflict.
It is, but it transforms empathy from just a nice idea into a tool that actually helps you resolve things and connect better.
And part of that active engagement must be creating the space for people to actually express those emotions you're trying to understand. Psychological safety comes up again.
It's central. And psychological safety, in practice, means when someone is talking, especially about something difficult, your primary goal isn't to jump in with your response or defense.
It's just to listen.
To listen, to understand. Fully focus on what they're saying, how they're saying it, what they might be feeling. Resist that urge to immediately formulate your reply.
That takes discipline.
It does.
Yeah.
But that kind of focused, non-judgmental listening is what makes people feel safe enough to be authentic, to share what's really going on. They feel heard, respected, even if you end up disagreeing later.
Okay, so focused listening creates the space. And then asking the right questions helps people step into that space.
Exactly. Open-ended questions are key. Questions that invite more than a yes or no.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. Instead of asking, did that bother you, which is closed, you could ask, how did that affect you?
Much more open.
Or instead of, was that difficult? Try, what was that experience like for you?
Correct.
These aren't just polite phrasings. They signal genuine curiosity about the person's experience, their feelings, not just the facts. And that's what builds deeper connection and trust.
Right. And once someone shares those feelings, you mentioned, it's tempting to fix it. But there's a step before that.
A critical step.
Yeah.
Validation.
Yeah.
You have to acknowledge their feelings as legitimate for them.
Even if you don't agree with their reaction.
Even then, validation isn't about agreement. It's about recognizing their emotional reality. Saying something like, I can see why you'd feel frustrated by that, or that sounds really challenging.
So you're saying, I hear your feeling, and it makes sense that you feel it.
Precisely. It builds huge trust. It makes the person feel seen. Then, once they feel heard and validated, you can move towards problem solving or addressing the practical side. But skip validation.
And you risk shutting them down.
Completely. You erode trust.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's pivot now to the professional setting directly. How does this empathy muscle really flex its strength at work? You mentioned feedback systems.
Yes. Empathy-driven feedback. This is a powerful application.
Yeah.
It shifts feedback away from just being an evaluation, like a grade.
Which can feel quite judgmental.
Right. Instead, it focuses on understanding and growth. Empathetic feedback always considers the context. What constraints was the person under? What challenges did they face?
So instead of, you missed the deadline.
It's more like, I noticed this deadline was missed. Can you walk me through what was happening? Were there obstacles or resource issues I wasn't aware of? See the difference?
Yeah, it's collaborative, not accusatory.
Exactly. It focuses on development. How can we support you? Rather than judgment, you failed. It turns feedback into a learning opportunity, not something to dread.
That's a huge shift. But what about when we're not face-to-face? So much work is virtual now. Reading cues is harder. How do we adapt empathy for online interactions?
It's definitely a challenge, no doubt. You lose a lot of nonverbal data. So you have to be more intentional.
How?
First, be more explicit with your own emotional tone in writing. Use clear language. Maybe use emojis thoughtfully where appropriate, or even just state your tone, like said with a smile, if needed in text.
Okay, be more obvious.
Second, prioritize video calls over just audio, even for quick check-ins. Seeing faces even on screen helps a lot.
Good point.
And third, consciously create virtual spaces for informal connection.
Yeah.
A water cooler chat channel, virtual coffee breaks that are purely social. You have to deliberately rebuild some of that spontaneous human connection.
Compensate for what's lost digitally. Okay. Now, something you touched on that feels quite advanced. Strategic vulnerability. How does that fit in?
Yes. This is nuanced. Strategic vulnerability isn't just, airing all your laundry.
Right, not oversharing.
Not at all. It's about judging when sharing something personal can actually strengthen a relationship or serve a professional goal, and deciding how much is appropriate.
So what's the goal?
The goal is usually to build trust, show humanity, or maybe illustrate a point. For example, a leader might share a past mistake they learned from. Not to look weak, but to show growth is possible, or to normalize learning from errors.
Okay, so it has a purpose beyond just sharing.
Yes. It's framed professionally. It builds connection authentically without crossing boundaries or making others uncomfortable. The danger is using vulnerability to, say, manipulate sympathy or offload personal burdens. That backfires.
Got it. And for leaders especially, modeling empathy during tough times, conflicts, crises, that must be critical.
Absolutely critical. When things are tense, how a leader responds sets the tone for everyone. If they can regulate their own emotions while showing they understand the team's feelings.
Like acknowledging frustration, but staying calm and focused.
Exactly. Acknowledging the difficulty, I understand this is tough, then pivoting constructively, okay, let's figure out our next step. That models both empathy and resilience. It shows the team how to navigate challenges effectively.
That makes sense. Beyond individual actions, what about embedding this in the team culture, like through rituals?
Yes, team rituals can be really powerful if done right. Things like starting meetings with a quick, genuine check-in. Not just project updates, but how are you actually doing today? Maybe using a simple scale or one word.
A mood meter, perhaps?
Could be. Or having regular appreciation sessions where people specifically thank colleagues for help or support. The key, though, is authenticity.
It can't feel forced.
Right. And leaders have to participate genuinely, not just orchestrated. If it feels performative, it can actually increase anxiety. But done well, these rituals normalize talking about emotions and build real psychological safety.
And finally, to make it stick, you need to recognize and reward it.
You absolutely do. When you publicly or privately acknowledge someone for demonstrating great empathy, maybe mediating a conflict well or supporting a struggling colleague, it sends a powerful signal.
It says, this matters here.
Precisely. It reinforces that empathy isn't just fluff. It contributes directly to team success, collaboration, innovation, everything. It makes empathy an expectation, not just an aspiration.
Okay, so we've built a strong case for developing and applying empathy, but keeping it up, that requires ongoing effort, right? It's not a one-and-done skill.
Definitely not. It's a practice. Like any skill, it needs maintenance.
So I think scheduling regular, empathy check-ins with yourself could be really valuable. Just taking a moment to reflect, how am I doing with this? Am I connecting effectively?
That self-reflection is key for continuous improvement. You start to notice patterns. When did I connect well this week? When did I struggle? Why?
Identifying what works, what doesn't for you.
Exactly. It helps you refine your approach, deepen your skills, become a better student of your own emotional intelligence, really.
And thinking bigger than just ourselves or our immediate team.
Yeah.
What about organizational empathy? Getting different departments who might not always see eye to eye to understand each other emotionally.
That's a huge lever for collaboration. Often, friction between departments comes from a lack of understanding of each other's pressures and perspectives.
Silos.
Right. So, things like establishing a shared emotional vocabulary across the organization can help, making it normal to talk about the impact of decisions on different teams.
And creating channels for that.
Yes, maybe cross-functional forums, or even just structured opportunities for people from different areas, sales and engineering, for instance, to share their challenges and concerns in a safe space. Breaking down those barriers fosters appreciation and much smoother collaboration.
Okay, but there's a crucial flip side to all this empathy, isn't there? The risk of burnout. We need boundaries.
Absolutely essential. This is non-negotiable for sustainability. Empathy doesn't mean absorbing everyone else's emotions like a sponge.
That sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting.
Yeah.
And ultimately effective. True empathy involves understanding and validating feelings, offering support within your professional role, but crucially, protecting your own well-being.
So maintaining that professional distance while still connecting.
Think of it like maintaining a clear window. You can see through it, understand what's happening on the other side, but it protects you from the emotional weather, let's say. It prevents burnout and ensures your empathy remains a strength, not a liability.
That's a really important balance to strike. So wrapping this up, the core message seems clear.
Yeah.
Empathy is far from a soft skill.
It's a power skill.
It really is a tangible, measurable career skill. And it's built, like we discussed, through practice self-awareness, active listening, perspective taking, giving feedback thoughtfully.
And setting those boundaries.
And setting boundaries.
Yeah.
Mastering these doesn't just make you nicer. It genuinely enhances your relationships, your leadership, your influence, your entire career trajectory.
So maybe a final thought to leave people with. If cultivating empathy allows us to truly see and understand others more deeply, just imagine what new solutions, what innovations, maybe even what entirely new ways of working could emerge if entire teams, entire organizations started prioritizing this skill, not as some secondary nice to have, but as a core driver of their strategy, their goals, their competitive edge.
Wow. Imagine the possibilities there. A really powerful thought. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into empathy as a critical career skill. We hope you found it valuable, and we really encourage you to take these ideas and start applying them in your own professional life. See what changes.